We've seen stories multiple times on this channel of innocent civilians getting harassed by the police for the most mundane things. People of color, especially African American citizens, are the biggest victims of this type of behavior thanks to the pervasiveness of racial profiling in the policing system. Like this incident on March 1st, where John Smiley, a 14-year veteran with Boulder Police Department in Colorado, tried to detain 26-year-old college student Zayed Atkinson for simply picking up trash in his front yard. Body cam footage of the incident emerged and sparked widespread public outrage.
I couldn't help but notice you just sitting on the patio out there.
What's that?
I couldn't help but notice you sitting on the patio behind this building.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's the signs for no trespassing, private property, that kind of thing. Yeah, I wasn't sure what you were doing, if you lived here or you worked here.
Yeah,
it looks like you're working, doing something, picking stuff up. Okay.
The officer then asks Zayed for his address, at which he points to the building behind, saying that he lived there. But when the officer tried to ask him specifics about the unit he lived in, Zayed understandably became hesitant and told the officer that he didn't have to give him that information.
Okay, what unit are you in?
I don't think I have to actually tell you that.
Well, I'm just checking to make sure that you have a right to be here, that's
Well,
all.
I just told you I lived here.
Okay.
And I told you that I'm working as well.
Okay.
Shouldn't that be enough for you?
Well, I gotta verify it, just so I know that you do in fact live here.
Officer Smiley then asked Zayed to provide some sort of identification with his address on it to prove that he in fact did live where he said he lived. Wanting to get things over with, Zayed handed him his ID, but there was a problem. It did not have Zayed's address on it.
I'm supposed to have something with my address
Well,
on it.
a lot of people have a
They
driver's
just carry
license.
they just carry something with their address on it?
Yeah, an ID.
It's ridiculous, bro.
Yeah.
To prove that he was not trespassing, Zayed offered to beep into the building and show the officer that he belonged there. But even after that, the officer brushed that offer aside. Frustrated, Zayed walked away and took a seat on the patio in front of the building. As Smiley wrote some things into his notepad, he walked up to Zayed and asked him for his date of birth. The college student was, once again, very confused.
So, Mr. Atkinson, can I get your date of birth, please?
Why?
I just need to verify who you are, that you belong here, that you have a right to be here, okay?
Are you kidding me, man?
Can you have a seat, please?
No.
Mr. Atkinson.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
290 Cook 12. Can you please have a seat?
No.
Zayed stopped paying attention to the officer and resumed cleaning up the trash outside his house. Officer Smiley, taking it as an insult to his ego, did not like this and began to follow him around the building while ordering him to sit down and even calling for backup.
Mr. Atkinson, right now you're obstructing a police officer, which is a jailable offense. I'm asking you one more time to sit down.
I'm not doing anything wrong. And you're not going to arrest me. You're not going to do anything. Because I live here. And I didn't do anything wrong.
Last chance, sir.
What?
Have a seat.
Well, what?
Sit
You're
down.
gonna arrest the
Right now I'm
person? You're
detaining
gonna
you
arrest
and
someone?
investigating you for a trespass.
I fucking live here, dumbass.
Sit down.
As they go around to the side of the building, the officer seemingly puts his hand on his taser. If that wasn't ridiculous enough, he also perceived the clamper Zayed was using to pick up the trash as a weapon and told him to drop it. The officer's tone began to get more and more aggressive as he followed Zayed around the building. He told the college student that he was detained and even threatened to tase him if he failed to comply with orders.
Why?
I'm detaining you to investigate.
For
Investigated
what?
trespass.
I live here. You
You
saw
haven't
I'm a
confirmed that.
student.
Sit down.
I'm a student.
Sit down and I'll
I'm not
confirm it.
sitting anywhere.
Sit down now.
No.
Sit down.
No, I'm not sitting down.
Then you're probably going to get tased in a second.
Why?
Because you have a weapon. Put that
I
down.
have a weapon.
Put it down and comply with my orders.
Zayed told the officer that he would sue him if he detained him on his own property for something as non-threatening as picking up trash.
Have a
Why
seat,
would you
please.
think that you could tase me? I'm freaking picking up trash on my property.
I need to confirm
Which
it.
is where I live.
There's a sign.
I'm not doing anything illegal, and you're not gonna fucking tase me, officer. So
Sit
how do
down.
you think about that?
Sit down.
How do you feel about that, sir?
As the confrontation moves to the back of the property, things become pretty intense when Officer Smiley puts his hands on his firearm.
Your hand is on your weapon, and you're gonna shoot me? That's what you're gonna do, officer?
290, we're
You're
still
gonna
behind
shoot a
23,
resident on his
33
property for
Subject
picking up
is failing to
trash.
comply.
That's what you're gonna do, officer?
Sit down, sir.
Smiley says that he's asked Zayed to put the clamper down multiple times, and that since he feels threatened by it, he will take the necessary actions he needs to do away with that threat.
Or you're gonna shoot me, officer?
If you use that weapon against me,
A weapon?
then
I'm-
yes, that is a
I'm 20 feet
consideration.
from you. I'm minding my
All you have to do
business.
is comply right now.
Officer, you're gonna shoot me.
Just have a seat, man.
Fearing for his life, Zayed begins to shout, asking someone on the property to record the officer and his threats. He demands that the officer call his lieutenant down and tells him that he will not get away with murdering someone on their own property.
Now.
Look, I don't want this to go any further, but you need to comply with my orders.
I don't have a weapon.
That's a weapon.
This is a bucket.
No, that's a weapon.
This
Right there.
is a clamper for picking up garbage, sir.
Put it down, I'm telling you, I'm threatened
It's
by
not
it.
a weapon. You're not threatened. I'm threatened. You have a fucking gun that kills people. How am I supposed to kill someone with
Sit
this?
down, sir.
Dude, no. Keep that.
Sit
that
down.
on there. He's got a gun in his hand. I'm gonna
Sit
sue
down.
the shit out-
The backup finally arrived, and if Zayed had any feelings that they were going to help defuse the situation, then those would have gone away pretty quickly. Officers began to close in on the college student, all of them telling him to comply with their orders.
The police are telling you to do something. Do it.
You have a gun in your hand.
Yes, I do, because you're not listening.
You have a fucking gun
You
in
have
your
a
hand.
weapon.
I don't have a
Drop the weapon. Drop it.
I don't have a weapon.
Drop it now.
What are you doing? No, what do you mean? Focus
Drop
on
it
you. There's
now.
fucking 6 of you.
Just drop it.
Really? This is my property.
We're not going anywhere. You need to.
The heated confrontation went on for almost 10 more minutes, with Officer Smiley and company continually telling Zayed that he needed to put away the metal object, sit down, and talk it out with them. Zayed, on the other hand, felt that his rights were being violated by these officers and that he hadn't done anything to invite any sort of suspicion from them. He also felt threatened by the fact that they all had their guns out pretty much throughout the whole scene, and they didn't draw them away until Zayed discarded the clamper.
Can you put it away? Can you just drop it on the ground? I'll put my gun
You're
down.
on my property. No, set it down.
If you put that down, I'll put my gun away.
Why?
I told you why, because it can be used as a weapon.
Used as a weapon.
Right.
You're a jackass.
There you go. That's all I need.
Put your fucking gun away.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, could you have a seat over here? Now we can talk.
One of the officers can be seen heading inside the apartment complex, and when he comes out, he tells everyone what Zayed had been saying all along, that he was a resident in this building. But even that wasn't enough for the cops to let Zayed off the hook and leave the scene. No, they still wanted the college student to sit down and give them the information they asked for.
Why don't you get off my property? What I'm trying to resolve. Why don't you get off my property and stop telling me what to do at my fucking house? How about that? I'm not sitting down. Why don't you go home, officer? And why don't you guys go find some real criminals instead of wasting my goddamn time? How about
Zayed then turns towards Officer Smiley again, and the two have another intense back and forth until the officer gets called by his partner to debrief the situation.
All right, so let's, you got his information in terms of his name and all that?
I just have his name.
Okay, then give him his
You're a
ID
fucking
back and then we're out of
jackass.
here. Yeah, because we
You're a
already confirmed he's
jackass.
there and this
You got the
gentleman
wrong
here just said,
person.
yeah, he works here and lives here, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right when Smiley's partner tells him to give Zayed his ID back, he immediately cuts the audio from his body cam, and it stays that way for the rest of the encounter. Body cam footage from another officer shows that before Smiley had his conversation with his partner, a faculty member from the college arrived at the scene and told officers that Zayed didn't, in fact, work for them.
So you work for Naropa?
Yeah, I'm the director of safety and facilities.
And so is this one of your properties right here?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. So he is a contractor, or he goes to Naropa, or is part of
He's our student.
student,
He's
and
a
he-
student work study.
Okay.
Yeah,
So he has permission to be here, he has permission to be doing whatever he's doing here.
absolutely. He's picking up trash.
Okay, awesome.
Trying to get Zayed to calm down, the faculty member tells him,
Hey, you're angry and escalated, and it's likely you got profiled, okay? So we'll pick it up at a different time, you know?
Another perspective from a different body cam shows Smiley handing Zayed back his ID while also sharing a few words.
So my partners have confirmed that you live here, which was initially the reason I contacted you, along with the object that you had. Just seeing you mulling it around, wasn't sure if you were dead. Do you want to go home right now, or do you want to stay here? So I have your ID here. I'm going to give it back to you. Okay? All right, now that I've confirmed that you live here.
An investigation was launched into the encounter immediately, the findings of which reported that Officer John Smiley violated 2 department policies, but found no evidence to support a claim of racial profiling. However, he resigned from his job before the disciplinary process concluded, thanks to a settlement deal with the city that allowed him to stay on payroll until February 2020. briefing on the settlement, City Attorney Tom Carr said, "The settlement allowed the city to provide the community information more quickly, and it transitioned Officer Smiley out of law enforcement career." Together with his attorneys at Raythod Mohammadabi LLC, Zaid filed a lawsuit that came to a settlement in March 2020 for $125,000. In a joint statement issued by the city attorney and Zaid's lawyers, the city acknowledged Atkinson should not have been stopped, and that the proper protocol would have been for the officer to walk away after Mr. Atkinson produced his student identification card and explained what he was doing. Based on the history of race relations and law enforcement in the United States and the particular circumstances of the encounter, Mr. Atkinson's anger was justified, the joint statement read. After seeing the massive blowback from the incident, the City Council approved a new structure in October 2019 that will have an oversight board and a staff member who will work as a link between the community and the police to try and avoid incidents like this in the future. If you want to watch more of these encounters between civilians and law enforcement officers, please subscribe to the channel.